Hey,
How are you?
I'm good. It's been a crazy night with my kids. So I'm a little like spastic at the moment, but we're good. We're all good now.
Awesome. It's so great to see you. Thanks so much for joining tonight.
Oh,
Um,
cheers.
and for everyone that is coming in right now, we have with us tonight author Lindsey Richardson. She is the author of Godsbane and Deathsbane, and then she's got a little something in the works, something up her sleeve. And so thanks everyone for joining us. If you already have a BookHeart account, she does have an author profile, so make sure that you're following her over there. Her website is posted on there, but for those of you that are wanting to check out her books, her website is lindseyrichardsonauthor.com. So you can head over there to go ahead and buy her books and check her out. So what we'll do is we'll go ahead and we're going to record this session. So give me
All right.
just a second. I want to make sure that we have, because you just did a live recently on yours.
I did. It was my
And
first one.
did it save down automatically for you?
It popped up at the end and asked me if I wanted to save it, and
Okay.
then like my phone glitched, so I don't
Oh my gosh. Well,
don't
well,
ask
we'll
me that questions.
we'll save this one. We'll save this one, and then
Sounds
we're
good.
over on TikTok. We're over on YouTube
Yeah.
as well. So we'll get this posted up so everybody can meet you and get acquainted with you.
Awesome.
So little funny story about how I got introduced to you, and I hope that she logs in tonight. But her username is what.Laura Reads, and
Yeah.
she's fantastic. She did that rebind for me back there of The Night and the Moth, and it's absolutely stunning. But she had posted about your book and your work, and it was one of those moments of like, sometimes the algorithm fundamentally is like, what are we doing here? But it was one of those times where like the algorithm got it right because it introduced me to you and your book, and it was fantastic. And so as
Awesome.
a result, I had the ALC of
Hmm.
Godsbane, which we'll talk
Yes.
about, want to hear all about that.
Yeah.
And then I had the arc for
Mhm.
Deathsbane. So I got to read them back to back, which was really cool. I'm
Yes.
sure some of your readers like had that pause, that gap of like, we're
Mhm.
waiting for the next thing, but I got to have it all in sequence. So that was really
I
cool.
love it.
So go ahead, Lindsay, tell us about you. Like, you call yourself a book dragon, right?
Yeah.
So when did that obsession actually start for you?
Honestly, I don't know when I wasn't like that. I think from the moment that I learned how to read, I have just been a voracious reader and I've always just wanted to consume as much as possible. And I just love books. I love owning them. I love holding them in my hands. For a long time, I actually protested getting a Kindle because I was like, no, I'm a physical book person. Like I have to have it and like hoard it like a little dragon. And then I got a Kindle and obviously like things changed because I realized how amazing it was to be able to carry thousands of books with you at like on a moment's notice. So, but I've just always been obsessed with reading and with reading fantasy specifically. It's always been my favorite thing.
Awesome. We love to
Yeah.
hear that. What about like the moment of when you went from I'm a reader, but now I'm gonna write? Talk about
Oh.
that moment.
Yeah, so I have always loved to write. I always wanted to write a book, but I never thought that I could write a book. I thought that was like something that was just completely out of my wheelhouse and completely out of something I was capable of doing. So I always wrote little short stories. My degree is in journalism, so I did a lot of like news writing for a while, in college, especially for newspapers. And then a few years ago, I lost someone really close to me, and it was this moment where I realized that I had been putting off things that I thought I might do one day. And then it's that life is short moment, right? And this moment of like, well, what if I don't get that day and I need to do it now? And so I just started writing as like a way to process my grief and to like deal with like therapy almost. And I started writing and I thought, it doesn't matter if anybody ever reads this. I am writing a story that I want to write. It is a love letter to my favorite genre. It has all the things I love about it. And if it turns into something good, then I'll share it. And if it doesn't, then I'll just read it and it'll be fine. And then we kind of got to a point with the story where my husband was like, this is pretty good. I think you should, you should publish it. So I was like, well, why not? Let's do it. So here we are.
I love that. Is Mr. Richardson gonna make a debut or a cameo like he did the other night? Is he gonna
Not
hop on
not
again?
tonight. he's on bath duty right now, so he's currently wrangling two small children in a bathtub.
Fair,
Yeah.
fair. So you're a crafter, a
Mhm.
self-proclaimed crafter.
Oh
So like,
yes.
do you find that hands-on creative energy shows up in how you write, or whether it's stylistically or like how you approach creating something?
Yeah, I think so. I also have ADHD and I'm very chaotic. My brain is a kind of a wild place, and I love to buy a bunch of craft supplies with like no idea what exactly I'm going to do. I'm like if I took a video of me doing a craft, you guys would be like, oh my God, I can't watch this. It's just so stressful. You don't have a plan. And so sometimes I feel like I write that way. Like it just depends. Like if I usually I'm a pantser, which is where you just kind of write by the seat of your pants. But I'm also like a headline plotter. So I like to say that like I know what's going to happen as far as my headlights can see, and I like to give the characters space to kind of help direct me on where to go next. And so it is a little bit about like similar to the way that I approach a craft. And sometimes you get halfway in and you're like, oh, I've made a mistake somewhere, and we got to backtrack. And so I do edit a lot, but I just find that that's how my brain enjoys writing.
That's so fun. That's such a fun approach. Your books have the tone of feminine rage in them, right?
Oh,
And women, or woman, like your
mhm.
FMC Ivy, she's claiming power. Do you want to talk about where that comes from for you?
Oh yeah. I think that Ivy is just all of the things that I have wanted to say or wanted to be, or like I think every woman has been in a situation at some point in her life where something has happened and she wished that she had reacted differently. Like you walk away and you're like, oh, I wish I would have been able to say this, or I wish I would have done this. And so I wanted to channel all of that into her. And if you can't tell by my accent, I live, in the South, and I was raised in a family where women didn't really speak that way, and so it was for me it was being able to express that within the safe bounds of fiction and kind of create this world where she could just let it out, and all the people who have discounted her or hurt her or treated her badly, like she could kind of take control of that and she could own the story. And it was so therapeutic, and so it has been so much fun to just let all that out. But I'll tell you, fun fact, in some of my earlier drafts, she was even angrier. And I was like, oh, we might need to like scale this back a little bit.
Wow. So you made her a little bit more soft around the edges, if
A
you will.
little bit, yeah, yeah. A
Yeah.
little more human and less like machine. Yeah.
Close machine.
Yeah.
So go ahead and share with everyone a couple of these responses. They're going to be the rapid fire questions, very
Ooh, I love
similar
it.
to the ones that are on your profile. So
Yeah.
don't overthink it. Don't get in your
Okay.
head too much about
All
these,
right.
but just kind of a fun way for people to
Okay.
get introduced to you. So,
Mhm.
all right, sprayed edges or a foiled case?
Oh, gosh, I love them both. I'm going to go with sprayed edges because I do like a dust jacket. And so then it's like you don't get to see the foiled case if you have the dust jacket. So, okay, sprayed edges. Yeah.
Fair. Okay, you mentioned Kindle earlier, but still got to
Mhm.
ask, physical, e-reader, or audiobook?
So my physical are my trophy shelves, but I read more on my Kindle because it's just easier to port it around with me everywhere.
Yeah, especially with you traveling now for events
Yes.
and like going to signings
Hmm.
and meeting people.
Yeah,
I can imagine that's probably a little bit more convenient too.
absolutely.
Annotate, or do you keep your books pristine?
Oh, I don't write in my books. It hurts me to write. I also was the kid who didn't stick stickers on things. So I think that those are probably very
Just
similar personality traits. Yeah.
the same.
Yeah.
Dog ear or bookmark?
Oh, never a dog ear. Anything but a dog ear. I can't do that to the book.
Someone shared that with me recently. They're like, yeah, just dog it, use the page. And I was like,
No,
no, like you can't. Jail.
absolutely not. Yeah. Straight to jail.
What is one trope you'll read forever?
Oh, I love a one bed trope. It's my favorite. It hits every single time.
That's right. What
Yeah.
about a trope you're so done with? We're done with that.
Oh, that's hard for me. I don't think I can pinpoint like one single trope. I think it's like as long as it's executed well, there are very few things that you couldn't convince me to like. Like I don't love an accidental pregnancy trope, but I've read some really good ones. So I think it just depends on the quality of the storytelling.
Fair. What about morally gray or cinnamon roll?
Can I cheat and say both? Because I have my Cal's a burnt cinnamon roll. He's like a little bit of both, you know?
He is. I can attest that he is. And that, for those of you watching, that is the main male character in her book. So,
Yeah.
Callan. Standalone or series?
Oh, I love them both, but here lately I've been on a standalone kick because I don't like to read a ton while I'm drafting, and so I like to be able to just read one book and then be like, okay, now I can go back to writing, and then not have to try to remember what was I doing 3 months ago when I read that book in order to get back into the next one.
Fun. What about a comfort reread? And if you're not someone that rereads, maybe like a rewatch TV show, because I know that's a
Okay.
thing for people.
Yes, so I'm not a rereader. I will reread sometimes before the next book comes out in a series. Like I think I've read Fourth Wing 3 times because you just have to keep going. But my comfort TV show that I will watch on nonstop is New Girl or Schitt's Creek. Both of those, if I just need, I'll just put them on. I can watch them all the time and never get bored.
Those are excellent. Those,
Yeah.
those are really good ones. What about your go-to writing snack and writing drink?
I love sour gummy worms. That's my go-to snack. And then usually like a high noon or a glass of Sauvignon Blanc is a good writing drink.
Ooh, ooh.
Yeah.
Uh, Vols game day or a full writing day for you?
Ooh, I love a good writing day. If I'm in the zone, I like that a lot. Yeah.
What if you had to describe Callan, and you kind of did burnt cinnamon
hmm
roll? If you
Yeah.
had to describe him in 3 words, what would be your three? And burnt cinnamon roll technically could count.
Yes, all three. Okay, I'm gonna give you three more though. I think he's a simp first and foremost, and we love that about him. I think he is a little bit mysterious. There's a lot about Cal that you don't know, and I'm having so much fun playing with all of that in book two. And oh, another word. Hmm. I think he is broody. I mean, that's yeah. We'll go with broody. Yeah.
I see Cass in the comments. She said we love a simp.
I guess we do. I had a reader once call him the simpiest simp who's ever lived. And I was like, that's fair. I'll take it.
That is fair. So on the topic of Cal, give everyone kind of like a broad strokes of, hey, this is what Godsbane is about, and then step into discussing what Deathsbane is about.
Yeah, absolutely. So, Godsbane follows Ivy Fellows. She is born into this position of power that she doesn't want, and frankly, nobody else really wants her to have it either. She has a really bad reputation because she has spent her whole life speaking out against the forced worship of gods that she believes have cursed her with magic that she has to keep hidden. So, the king dies mysteriously, and Ivy is forced to travel across the country to participate in the vote to see who's going to be the next king. And along the way, she discovers that everything she thinks she knows about herself and about her gods has all been a lie.
Yes, yes. So that's for
That's
Godsbane,
God's bane, yes.
and Godsbane is the one that you have an audiobook version of. Do
Yes,
you want to
yes.
share who narrated that audiobook?
Yes, the audiobook is duet narration style, and it is done by the incredible Jackie Pryor and Anthony Palmini.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Curious, like, if we had to understand like how all this happens, did you as an author get to like find and source your own audio narrators, or is it one of
Yeah.
those, like, how does that process work?
Yeah, so I am completely indie. So I have, I do all of my things. And so I decided I wanted to indie produce the audiobook. And I had heard Jackie narrate some books before, and I just love her voice. And I would be reading Ivy in my head, and I would just keep hearing her. And so I was like, man, if there's any way I could get her, like, she's just Ivy. Like it just feels so right. And so I was really lucky. I stumbled across a post on Threads about a year ago, and Jackie had posted something for an audiobook event called I think it's Femme Audio Takeover, and it's where femme narrators will narrate snippets of strong femme characters written by femme authors. And the point of that is just to uplift human voices, uplift femme voices, and so she does it for free. And there's a lot of narrators who participate in this. And she had posted that she had a form if anybody was interested. And Godsman wasn't even published at this point. And I totally just like, I'm going to shoot my shot. And so I just threw in, like, I filled out the form, I threw in a snippet, and she recorded it. And when I heard her read it, I started crying, and I was like, this has to happen. I don't care what I have to do. Like this, she has to be Ivy. And so I had like was thanking her for it, and we got to talking, and she was like, I do direct contract. You don't have to go through like a publishing company, like you can do it yourself. And I was like, tell me more about this. And so we got to talking, and I was like, well, if you're available, I would love to hire you. And so I contracted with Jackie, and then we got to talking more about the book and about who Cal was as a character and kind of what defined him and what I was looking for in a narrator. And she suggested Anthony. She'd worked with him previously and was like, I think he would be great. And so we reached out, and he said yes. And I was like, that's incredible. And they're just such a dream team. And it just like, I still get chills thinking about the first time that I heard it together. Oh, it's just everything I could have wanted as an author. I'm just so incredibly lucky to be able to do that.
They did a fantastic job too. I remember
Yeah.
doing the review and I had
Mhm.
said it was powerful. Like the way they pulled that story and the way they brought it to life and conveyed it,
Mhm.
it made it powerful. That was the word that came to mind. They really crushed it. Highly, highly recommend it. Okay, so that
Mhm.
was for your ALC, or for really the audiobook that I got to listen
Mhm.
to. But I got to read Deathsbane. So do you want to
Yes.
tell everyone? And I
Yes.
was trying to cheekily think of like, how could I even bring it up? So I'm going to put it on you of like, I'll let you,
Okay.
because it's so rich, y'all. It's technically a prequel, and you
Mhm.
recommend, Lindsay, right? Like read Godsbane and then
Yes.
Deathsbane.
Yes, it makes the experience better. And honestly, it spoils a lot of Godsbane. So if you read it first, you're going to be like, oh, I saw that coming.
Yes.
So it really is. So Deathsbane is technically a prequel story, but in Godsbane, Ivy learns about some events that have taken place in the God realm, things that have happened in the past that have kind of brought her and Cal to this point in their journey. And so when I was sitting down and I was getting ready to write book two, it was really important to me that I put the rest of that story on paper. Because as the author, I know in my head, I know all the backstory and lore, but I was like, I don't have it in a way that it feels engaging to the reader. And so Godsbane or Deathsbane actually follows, it's from written from dual POV, and it's from the point of view of the god of death and the goddess of light. And the god of death was one of those characters who just, he got in my ear and he just would not stop and he would not let up and was like, you need to write it from my point of view. You need to tell my story. You need to let me speak. And so I just started writing it, and it really came together in a way that I feel like is so much better than if I just would have told you the lore, right? Like you get to experience it through the eyes of these gods. And of course, I love romance and fantasy. And so there is a romance story in there, and there's this love story that you get to follow. But it adds so much to Godsbane. And so it's one of those things that you read Godsbane first, then read Deathsbane. And then there's probably honestly a really good chance you're going to want to read Godsbane again so you can catch up on a lot of the things you're like, oh, that didn't really, register to me before as something I should pay attention to, but now I'm like, oh, I know who that was, even though they didn't get named, and I know what this means. And I've just been completely blown away by the reception to Deathsbane. It has been such a cool experience, and it's a tiny but mighty little story, and I just love it.
I devoured it. And if I had to pick one word for that part of the story, because to your point, it adds so much more contextual layer and depth to Godsbane. The word I would say for Deathsbane was beautiful. I was like, this is beautiful. It was just, oh my God, it was scrumptious. So
Thank you.
yes, it was very, very, very well done. That was a great read. So when we talk about Ivy and her being up against misogyny, right? Because we saw that at the
Mhm.
time of what's called the ascension vote,
Yeah.
when she has to find out like, well, who's going to be the next person to rule all this. So there's misogyny, there's
Mhm.
self-doubt, and then she's discovering magic. So like, talk to us about where did she come from?
Well, like, oh, we're okay. Sorry, I was like, well, that's a spoiler, but I know what you mean by that.
Yeah.
I just, Ivy just kind of came to me fully formed, and she just was this powerhouse personality from the beginning, and I got to really play around a lot since I didn't know, if I was ever going to publish. I was like, let's play with this and see how far we can test it and what she can kind of come up with and what she can be, and she was kind of a science experiment in a way, but she is really, she's just really cool. I would hang out with her. She probably would like, cut my head off, but she's great.
Yes, yes. So the ascension vote, like we were just
Mhm.
mentioning,
Yeah.
there's a layer of political intrigue.
Mhm.
And Can you talk to us about Corinth and that whole world that you've built?
Yeah, I wanted to ground it a little bit in reality while still being fantasy, right? So it's definitely everything is fictitious, obviously, but I like the idea of being able to explore real world ideas within the safe bounds of fiction, where you can make your own rules and things can be whatever you want them to be. And so, my husband used to work in politics for a long time, and we are thankfully out of that sphere. But so I have a lot of like I've just sat on the sidelines and I've watched a lot of that for a while, and I'm a big fan of kind of like political dramas and things like that. And so I wanted to pull some of that in and kind of create a world that felt rich and real, that you kind of got to like play along with, you know? So I love that aspect of like Game of Thrones was one of those things where you really kind of felt like you were on the board with them and what was happening. And so I just wanted to create something that kind of gave us a little bit of that same feeling.
Yeah, yeah. Speaking of which, because you brought it up, did
Yeah.
you watch House of the Dragon on Sunday night?
Yeah.
I
Yes.
didn't, so don't spoil it for me. I
No
don't
spoilers.
tell me. I didn't watch it yet, but I was like, oh, I wonder if she
Yes.
does watch. Sure enough,
I do.
that's
I
cool.
do. I was a book reader too, so I have thoughts, but I'll keep them to
Okay, don't spoil it. Don't
myself.
tell me. Without, you know, saying too much,
Yes.
what can you tease about what lies ahead for Cal?
Oh, I love this question. Cal, and we have not been inside Cal's head really. There are two point of view chapters from him at the very end of Godsbane. Other than that, we have not been in his head, and so I'm excited that you're going to get a lot more inside his head in book two. Godsbane is really Ivy's story. It is really her coming to terms with who she is, what she possesses, that the world is different, and stepping into this like am I going to be a leader or am I going to be a follower? Am I going to be a good leader or am I going to like lean into this rage and anger and kind of rule with an iron fist? And so the book two, Bloodsbane, is really going to be a little, I mean, Ivy is still a very central part of that story because she still has a lot that she has to grapple with, but we're going to get more of Cal dealing with a lot of those same things because he has an identity too that we haven't really explored, right? We've talked about it. You know what it is by the time you get to the end of the book, but he has to deal with that too. I definitely put my characters through the ringer. Like you are going to have to deal with your problems. And so I will say I've cried a lot while writing this book. I think that it is, the path ahead for them is not easy, but it is a capital R genre romance. So like, you are going to get a happily ever after, and they are in game, but they're going to have to work for it.
Yeah,
Which,
that's
yeah.
funny you say that about happily ever after because I know that came up recently in the world of
Hmm.
threads. How I
Yeah.
don't someone had mentioned not every romance book actually needs a happily ever after. So what's your take on that?
My take is that that's the genre, right? And so if it is if it's a true romance with a capital R in front of it, like that, it has a happily ever after or a happy for now, then that's what the readers expect, and that's been the genre forever. And so like I love one of the cool things I love about being an indie author is that we do get to change things, right? We get to make our own rules, we can blaze our own path, we can do whatever we want. But I am a purist when it comes to like that is a genre convention and I can make you suffer along the way and still give you a happily ever after or a happy for now at the end. Because that's what I want as a reader too. If I pick up a romance, I want to know that like they're going to get together in the end.
That's great.
Yeah.
What about so you kind of touched on the reading
Mhm.
order.
Yes.
If you had to kind of give a hey, the quintessential Godsbane reader tends to like these specific books. What would
Ooh.
be those top books? Like, hey, if you like this, you're gonna love
Mhm.
Godsbane.
I will tell you, I struggled with this as an author, but I've had great readers who have really come in and be like, "Oh, this is it." And so I'm a data girl, and so I'm noticing a pattern of what they say. And so I would say if you like Throne of Glass, Quicksilver, Shield of Sparrows, um, The Silversmith, or why am I blanking at the end? Oh my gosh, I can see it on my face. Plated Prisoner. That's one of my
Oh
favorite
yes.
series. I don't know why I just like struggled with that. Those are the five that I think if you enjoyed those books, you will enjoy Godsbane.
Yes, I well done with that. Snaps for that. That was very well done. So what can you tease about what's coming next within the duology? And funny enough, I got this in the mail today. I blocked out my address, but this actually came in the mail today, and I was screaming.
I mailed that on like a month ago.
Well, it just now got here,
I
but
know you're not the only one.
all
USPS
good.
did me dirty.
Yeah, so it was like you can't say anything, and I'm like,
Yeah.
well, we're gonna talk tonight, so what can we
Yeah.
talk about?
You can talk about it now. Yeah, it's
Okay,
good now.
okay.
It's good. Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, so your next installment is gonna
Hmm.
technically be book two.
Yes.
And we did this was really cool that you did, Lindsay. You did this thing where you engaged with your community online about what is the title gonna be. And
Hmm.
so what is it? What Tara's been reading. I hope she's on here. She and I were cracking up because some of the like ones she was picking, I think she was and it was awesome. It was like flash photos, and it was just so engaging, and it made you as a reader, like if you've already devoured this and you're on the edge of your seat, you're like dialed in, like, oh, what is it going to be? And so like it was just fun. It was fun to engage with fellow readers. It was a fun
Hmm.
way to engage with you. And so your next title, can I show the
Yeah. Yes.
okay,
Yeah.
so the next title, and this is probably shown in reverse, but the next title is called Bloodsbane. So we talked a little bit. You're going to give us
Hmm.
more layers and more of that. Hey, Cal has to look in the mirror and make some tough
Hmm.
choices. So if you had to give like a little sprinkle of some other delicious, yummy things coming up,
Yeah.
what would it be?
I can tell you that Bloodsbane is multi POV. We will get not just Cal and Ivy's head, but there are two other characters that we will get to be in their head some too. If you enjoyed Deathsbane, we will be getting some of those characters coming back in there. Not
Nice.
necessarily they're not necessarily your POV characters, but they are going to be there. So you will see Death and Light and Corvus, the Raven sidekick, is making to make an appearance in book two. Book two will be coming out right now. Is scheduled for July of 2026.
Yes.
And Jackie and Anthony will be returning for the audiobook. And we are going to be releasing the print version, the ebook, and the audiobook on the same day.
Oh my God. It's Christmas in July. It's Christmas
Yes.
in July. This is
Yes.
fantastic.
I'm a July baby, and so I'm like, this is the best time of the year.
Are you back half of July, or are you like front end
No,
July?
I'm front end. I'm
You're
front.
front end July. Okay, so that's coming up
Yes.
soon.
Yeah. Yes. Yes.
Cool. Well, okay, now we got to talk about one
Mhm.
of the coolest things about what has happened and transpired for you in this
Yes.
journey is you took it upon yourself to say, hey, Godsbane needs a special edition.
Yeah.
I'm going to do a special edition of that book. And
Yeah.
so talk to us about walking through
Mhm.
that process, like the detailing, like what was the impetus of like, I
Mhm.
want this to be a special edition. Like, tell us more.
Yes. I love pretty books, first and foremost. And I will tell everybody, I'm a fangirl. Like, I'm absolutely a fangirl. And so I fangirl over my own stuff too. It is not just just mine or just other people. It's the whole thing. And I love artwork so much. And that is another reason why I really was very set on the indie path, is because I wanted to have artistic control of like what the book looked like and how it was formatted. I wanted all of the little details. And so I was like, I want to do a special edition of Godsbane, and I want to do all of the pretty things. I want to make it like the cool book that I would want to have on my shelf. I want to put that together, and I want to offer it up to other people too. And it has been so cool to put it together. I've worked with probably 4 or 5 different artists throughout this process,
Wow.
that all have different components of their work in the special edition. And so maybe even more than that, actually. Maybe it's closer to 8, maybe.
Wow.
It's a lot.
And obviously this is your first one. Do
Yes.
you know if like that tends to be the case? Like each
Mhm.
individual component is going to need a totally different artist to do
Mhm.
that, because you found in your experience, like, hey, someone's really good with doing, dust jacket work. Like,
Yeah.
did you find that in the process? And that's why it ends up taking a village to craft something like
Yeah.
that.
Well, yes, and I was also when I decided that I was going to do it, I really wanted to make sure that I had special edition copies in hand for Forbidden Love BookCon in Nashville at the end of July, and so I was working on a tight timeline, and so I was also working within a budget. I'm an indie author. I don't have all of the money of a big publishing house behind me, and so it was finding the right artist who had the right style at the right time within the right budget. So it was a lot, a lot of factors that went in. And some artists that I wanted to work with for multiple pieces were like, I can only do this one. And so we just kind of, I just wanted to share the love and get as many people involved in it as I could.
That's so awesome. Now, do you have a copy of it on
I,
hand? Can
I
you please
can.
show us? Can you please
I
show us? Show
can.
everybody.
I can. This is it.
That is so sick. Oh my
I
gosh.
love it so much. I'm obsessed with it. It came out so good. And so this is the dust jacket. But the dust jacket actually comes off. I can give you the full tour. Do you want the full
Yeah,
tour?
please show
Okay.
us all the bells
Okay.
and whistles. Like,
So
show us.
so this is my sample copy that I got, and so it doesn't have everything put together. So you're going to bear with me for a second. What is underneath the dust jacket is actually going to be character art, and so I'm going to show you actually my rebound that what Laura reads made for me.
She made
Um,
one.
she
Oh
made this
my
for me. Okay, so it does. So the underneath the dust jacket will not have the gold in the corners, but it will have this artwork on the front, and then we'll have this on the back once again without the gold, but we'll have the character art on the printed case underneath the dust jacket. And the dust jacket does. I'm gonna try not to show off it. Like has the full wrap all the way
God.
around.
Get it
Yeah.
naked. Get it naked.
Okay. Let me show you what's underneath it. So here's our full like dust jacket
Yeah,
moment.
that's beautiful. Like
Closet.
even those little architectural elements in the top,
Uh-huh.
like the little
Yes.
art. Oh my
Mhm.
gosh.
And there's a
That's
lot of elements. So you'll notice there are on the copy on the regular cover of Godsbane, there's a border around it where you have some sigils of the gods, and so we kept those in the artwork as well. So you still have those like callbacks to
yes.
the important gods in
Yes,
the
and
dust jacket.
there's symbolism behind that
Yes.
particular creature. I'm not going to say anything
Yes.
because I
Yes.
want people to devour this just as much as I have done.
Yeah.
And there's symbolism behind that. That's really really
Absolutely.
cool. Very
Thank
well
you.
done. Who do you have a shout out for the particular artist that did that piece right there? Do you remember top of mind who that was?
You
The
should put me on the
biblical-
spot.
No,
Yes.
it's fine. I
You
can
put
put
me on
it
the
in the
spot.
captions when I save it down.
We'll put it in
It's
the captions.
fine.
We'll
You
put it in the
had
captions.
8 people. You had a whole team working on this thing. Like, hey, that's tough. Like, no,
Oh my
no
gosh,
harm,
I
no
feel so
foul.
embarrassed.
No, all good. We can get the
Okay,
info from
we'll
you
put it
so
in
we
there.
can share it. But
Sure,
I mean,
absolutely.
incredible, incredible. I was wondering because I'm like sometimes what I'm finding with artists too, they'll do multiple things, totally different authors, and you're like, why do I keep
Hmm.
gravitating toward? And it's that
Yes.
artist style, and so that's
Hmm.
really is like, would we have seen that particular artist style on?
Hmm.
Like, is there anything else where you're like, they
No,
did?
I don't think so. This
Okay.
I do remember that she was a very small artist that I worked with.
Oh, so maybe
Mhm.
like this is her big debut
Yeah.
treasure project with you. Love that. Love that.
Maybe, maybe.
Yes, that's awesome. Okay, so tell us about the
Okay.
edges.
Okay, so the edges they have a quote on them, and it says there are no gods but me, which is one of my favorite quotes from Godsbane. And so they're solid black. I'm not going to show you the top of this one because we did try an edge design on this one that didn't work, so I don't want you to get my proof copy, but I'll show you this. It is black. It just says there are no gods but me on there.
Nice. And
Yeah.
then that specific green, you call it a specific green color though.
Yes, yes. So it's Viridian is the shade of green, and there it's a very purposeful choice within the book.
Yes, yes,
Hmm.
yes. Two, I can confirm, can confirm. It's
Yes.
beautiful. This has been so cool, and you've been the first author since BookHeart's been up and running, where it's you've walked through this process, and now it's here. And so, if y'all are loving this copy, Lindsay has it available through her website. You can go ahead and are you still technically in pre-order phase?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Pre-orders are going to stay open until probably, I think, around July the 20th. And then the books are supposed to be arriving to me right at the very end of July. And then I have a book con, so I will be like heads down, focus on that. And as soon as I get done with that, then I'll be shipping out orders. So we're expecting like beginning to mid-August is when they will ship. And then once we're sure that we have enough left over after pre-orders, we'll open up an on-sale date once we have the books in hand.
Yay! That's so
Yeah.
exciting. Would
Yeah.
you say, when it came to this process overall and
Mhm.
helping us understand from the time of I want to do the special edition to
Mhm.
now at this point it's time for pre-orders, how long has that timeline been overall?
Oh my gosh. It's been a long run. Just because I learned a lot of things along the way. I needed to find the right printer. And I'll show you why I needed to find the right printer. There is some bound artwork inside the pages of this book. And I tried it with a few other printers and the quality was not what I wanted it to be. And so we had to find the right one. We had to make sure everything was right and we had to make sure we could get it at a price point that I felt comfortable with while still including all of the fun bells and whistles and everything that we put together for this edition. So
Yes.
I think I started. I think I've probably been working on it for at least the past like 6 months.
Wow.
Just getting like commissioning the art, getting everybody together, doing all of the things. Yeah, it's been a full 6 month process so far.
Wow. So
Yeah.
that it makes it to where like a special edition, hearing the
Mhm.
story and your process
Yeah.
with it, it's even more special. And the fact that you did it, like you're indie, this is all you, like this is your baby.
Mhm.
How in depth or hands on were you when it came to the actual art components? Was this, hey, here's
Mhm.
my book, and you kind of put the onus on the artist of
Mhm.
like, I need you to understand and interpret this, and I'm going to let you take free reign, or like
Mhm.
walk us through those different components.
Yeah, so I will say when I first started getting ready to commission character art, I did not know what to do. And so I reached out to Gretchen Powell Fox, who is another incredible author. She wrote the Smoke and Scar, Shattered Crown trilogy. Gretchen has the most amazing character art I've ever seen. And so I just like slid into her DMs and I was like, hey girl, how do I get that? How do I put the thoughts that are in my head and on the pages of my book? How do I communicate that with an author? And she's so kind and she's so gracious. And she was like, hey, let me show you what I do. And she has like she had a character reference doc and it's a PowerPoint where it just kind of walked through like all the physical attributes, what are the vibes of the book, what is this character like? And so I just kind of took that and of course she had all this great artwork she could put in there as examples too. And I was like starting from scratch. And so I spent like 2 days hyper focused on making this like slide deck about my book. And what came out of that process is a document that I consistently share. Every time I meet with an artist, I will share them my doc. I will share them some like reference photos of like things that I like, what I'm going for. And if I can't find a reference photo, I draw stick figures on the paper, but I hand them that and the reference doc and they'll come back with questions and we'll go through the sketching phase. But more often than not, they're like, this is great. I don't have any questions. And then they just deliver absolutely incredible stuff. And so I have Gretchen to thank for that 1,000% for teaching me how to do it. And that is something that if there are any other authors who are on this, like if you want to know what that doc looks like, feel free to slide into my DMs. I'm happy to share it with you too. But it's like you have this like Bible almost of like, here's my book and here's everything about my characters. And I just keep updating it as I get more artwork in. And as things evolve with book 2, I'm now putting that information in there. And so an artist really can take a document, spend as much time as they need looking over it and just they can get the vibe and the feel of what I'm going for in the book.
That's amazing. I mean, authors, you guys are magic makers in your own right. And then we think about the artists who
Mhm.
they take this character that you had from your beautiful mind and then they make it so much more tangible and palpable. And it really
Mhm.
does do something to a reader when you're
Mhm.
like, wow, I feel that. Like that evokes a certain emotion, or I'm feeling really empathetic towards the
Mhm.
scene. Like it's really cool to see that. And that's been a
Mhm.
really neat process, I bet, for you to
Mhm.
see that come to life.
Yeah, it really has been, and it's almost an addiction. It truly is. It's like every time I get a new piece of character art, I'm like, oh my God, that's so good. And then like 3 days later, I'm like, should we do another one? And I'm like, no, we can't do another one yet. We have to wait.
It's
Um,
addicting.
it is addicting because it is that see that visualization. I'm such a visual person too, and so seeing what my characters look like and feeling the scene with my eyeballs, I'm like. I need more. What else can we do?
Yes, yes, and I think you have it on the website because I bought it. Like as soon as you were like it's live, I ran over there and got one. And I think on those photos, if y'all are on the website to actually check out and order from Lindsey's website, so it's lindseyrichardson.author.com for her pre-order of her special edition of Godsbane. She has on there like a carousel style of photos, so you can start to see some of these apart from what she has been graciously
Do
showing us.
you want to see some more?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. So I'll show you. These are the end papers. They are full character art end papers.
Ivy,
So we have Ivy
Ivy.
in the front.
Yes.
I feel like she's channeling kind of like her Mulan energy here, and I love it. And then in the back, on the back end paper, we have Cal.
Cal.
And I
Cal.
also feel like he's kind of channeling like Steph and Salvatore here in this photo. And even though I'm a Damon girl, I love it. I think it's fantastic. So
Vampire Diaries reference.
yes,
Nice
yes, yes. There's some other really cool features inside of here. We have a new map.
map.
Well, page inside. I'm a map girl, hardcore. There is new art, like chapter headers in here. So we have every chapter starts with this cool like floral motif behind
Beautiful.
it. And then this is new. This is different artwork. So all of Ivy's chapters have the beautiful florals. And then we have, of course, when we get I'm trying not to go too far to show you something at the end here. When we have a cow point of view chapter towards the end, we do get our sea dragon from the cover. It makes
That's
an
right.
appearance back there as well. So, but one of the really cool things about this edition that I really love is there are not one, not two, but three pieces of character art bound within the book itself. And so we have this one, which is one of my favorite pieces of art.
That's
And
beautiful.
these all also coordinate with the chapter that inspired them. So right after you read the chapter that inspired them, you'll get hit with the character art, so you can visualize it. We have this, which is the same artwork that's on the cover of one of my favorite pieces. And then we have this at the end, which I also really love. So,
And the green themes.
the green. And then we also have at the end, we have two different pieces of bonus content in here as well. So we have some letters that Cal wrote to Ivy at one point during the story. And then we also have the very beginning of the story from Cal's point of view. So you get to experience them meeting through his eyes instead of just hers.
You packed all the punches in this thing. I love it. I love it. I cannot wait for y'all to read this if you haven't already, because you're going to be on the edge of your seat waiting for that thing to come in the mail. I'm so excited for this.
Oh, me too. I can't. I'm gonna be outside my window with my binoculars, like watching the FedEx truck the day it's supposed to come. Like, come on.
Yes, yes, that is so exciting. I'm curious now, like
Mhm.
on the other side of this experience, apart from talking about like the directives for when you're getting the art creative, what would
Mhm.
be your number one piece of advice for fellow indie authors who want to make a special edition?
Oh, I think first of all, reach out to other people who have done it too. I think I know I'm always happy to share advice, and what I have found from the indie author community is they overwhelmingly usually are the same way and are happy to kind of walk you through it. I think it's important to make a list of what exactly you want and know where you're going to give if it doesn't work out, right? Like if you can't get the price to where you want it to be, or you can't get something to print in the quality that you want, like what are you willing to sacrifice? What can come off and what can't come off? Before I found this particular printer, I almost didn't do the bound character art with inside the book because it just wasn't, the paper was kind of floppy. It wasn't right. And so I was like, well, that can go if it has to. I got very lucky and I found a good printer who can do it. But yeah, I think it's just like, you can't always put all of the bells and whistles on. So like where do you need to scale back and adjust to still get a really good product? That would be my advice.
That's great. So be willing to compromise. Like
Yeah.
you know, you can have it all, but sometimes maybe not all at once, right?
Right. Or not at the price, right? What is the triangle where it's like you can have it quickly or you can have it, yeah, that's yeah.
Right, right. That's great. So, Lindsey, go ahead and tell everyone where they can find you across socials so they can go ahead and find you, follow you, engage with you, and get ready for book two.
Absolutely. So I am on Instagram, I am on TikTok, I am on Threads. My handle is the same across all three. It is at underscore Lindsey Writes underscore because every other version of my name was taken. So you got to add the underscores on there. So I am there. I'm very active on all three, probably Instagram more than the rest. But yeah, come say hi.
Yes, yes, please, please go ahead and give her a follow. And she has a profile over on BookHeart too. So if anybody missed like our rapid fire fun questions at the beginning on her profile, we kind of walk through some of those. So you just get like an added layer of learning about Lindsey and getting introduced to her work. Lindsey, if you had a couple minutes,
Yeah.
are you cool with people maybe asking any questions
Yeah.
if they want to chime
Absolutely.
in?
For
Um,
sure.
it looks like we have a little bit of people in here. If anyone has a question that you would love to ask Lindsey, go ahead and type it in. And if you missed the update, book two will be coming out in July. So you
Of
have
2027, not this July.
Yep,
Okay.
of 2027. Yep, of
Not next month.
2027. Yes, of 2027. And she is going to be doing an audio book
Hmm.
for that as well. She currently has an audio book already that exists for Godsbane. And so Deathsbane, is Deathsbane gonna, and are you gonna do an audio for that, or what are your thoughts?
I would love to at some point. Deathsbane is only like 120 pages. And so at this point, it's like it's not cost effective to produce an audiobook for something so short, but I really do want to do something cool with it eventually. So I'll never say never, but we'll see.
Fair. Let's
Yeah.
see. So, Suzette, so she has a question. Have you ever seen someone in real life that you're like, that looks like one of my characters?
Ooh.
That's a great
Yeah.
question.
Okay. So, I saw them on the internet. I don't know if this is real life, but there was, I think it was at like, maybe it was like the Wicked 2 premiere or something. Somebody's bodyguard, maybe it was Jeff Goldblum's body, somebody's bodyguard was like on the red carpet with him. And I was like, that's Cal. I was like, hold up. I was like taking a screenshot of like the live stream and like sending it to my friends. And so I don't know what this man's name was. I don't know who he is. I don't know anything about him. But I was like, is Cal at the Wicked 2 premiere right now?
Let's see. Oh, you, Lindsay, you got, I don't know if you've heard about this. Her little bookmark, her name's Kim. She's the one that started the world's first vibrating bookmark. That is Kim's.
Oh,
She's in the chat right now. And I know that you had answered this a little bit earlier, but she was asking, are you a physical book reader or more of
mhm.
a Kindle reader?
Oh, well, like I said, I love a shelf trophy. I love to own a physical book. I love to feel a physical book. But I'm more of an e-reader because I like my digital highlights. I like being able to take it with me, and I'm also a mood reader, so I can flip back and forth really quickly between books if I have my Kindle. Yeah.
Yes, I feel that. She shelf trophies too, Kim. So
Yeah.
she doesn't dog ear her books. She keeps them in
Mm-mm.
pristine condition. Let's see. Jonathan, do you ever get writer's block? If so,
Oh,
what are
yeah.
some things you do to remove the block?
I absolutely get writer's block. I think that I have to refill my well creativity, like creatively. There we go. That's the word. And so I like to read, or I will watch a TV show or something that makes me kind of focus and kind of gets my brain turning. So even if I am maybe reading something that has that's not even similar to my book at all in any capacity, it still just does something to my brain. And I think since becoming an author, I think I read differently. And so I start looking at the way that sentences are constructed, or, oh, that was a really cool reveal. How did the author tease up to that? Like, how did they put this together? And so it just does something to my brain and it gets me thinking. And usually it'll come through like that. I also love to listen to music. Music is a big part of my drafting. And so I'll just put on something that I think kind of gives the vibe or the feel of like what I want this scene to do. And sometimes I'll just close my eyes and just sit there and listen to the same song on repeat and just hope that it kind of sparks an idea. But yeah, absolutely get writer's block a lot.
She's a Sleep Token fan, y'all. So she's one of us. One of us.
Yes.
Yes, she's a Sleep Token fan. Let's see, Gianna asked, when you're writing, are you a flow as you go, or do you write those plot points and then fill in the details?
Really flow as I go, unless there is a plot point that is yelling at me that's like, oh, you have this really good idea, you need to put it on paper right now. But I like to let the characters lead. I know where we're going in the end, but how we get there, I kind of like to give them a little bit of freedom to figure that out.
Yeah. Yep. Let's see here from Kim. Was it difficult figuring out what your characters' names should be?
Ooh, yes and no. So I'm a big fantasy lover, and sometimes fantasy names can be a lot. Right? Sometimes they're very difficult to pronounce. And so I wanted to do something that was a little bit more common, I think. And so Ivy was always going to be Ivy because she has a correlation with the character Poison Ivy, and so I always wanted to play on that. Cal's name was a placeholder. I'm going to be honest with you. I was like, oh, we'll stick this in here, and then the more I wrote him, the more I was like, no, I like this. We're going to stick with it. But I would kind of just hover over the keyboard and like let my hands fall on like a letter, and they're like, okay. Now what are we gonna do with this letter? What's a good name? Which is probably why I ended up with too many M names in the book, but we're not gonna talk about that. But yeah, no, sometimes I named characters things, and then the more I got to write them, the more they were like, that's not my personality at all. I don't sound like a Bob, Okay, you
Yeah,
gotta do something else. Yeah.
that's
But
great.
Ivy was the only one who was like, I know exactly who she is before she steps on the page.
Let's see. Nick, if you could pick a song that best represents the book, what would it
Oh,
be? And a lot of people are really loving that you're a Sleep Token fan, so
yeah.
don't feel pressured to pick
Good.
Sleep
Good.
Token, but
Okay,
they're
well, I
vibing
was
with
going
that.
to anyway, so it's good that you guys are on my side. Yeah. Oh, for the whole book.
That's
Ooh,
tough. Because I try to
that is
pick out
tough.
like some songs like
Yeah,
that's
yeah, yeah. Um,
I have I actually
I mean, I can tell you, I have theme songs for Cal and for Ivy. Like them as characters have theme songs. And then I do have a theme song for book two, but
ooh
I struggle with book one theme song. Okay, so I'll tell you. So Cal's theme song. Cal was inspired by the song "Rain" by Sleep Token. He's always been all in on that. And then Ivy is "The Archer" by Taylor Swift, and this kind of duality of the predator and the prey. And so those have always been their theme songs. I think. You know what? Okay, I'm gonna go with for Godsbane. I think the theme song might be Just Pretend by Bad Omens. That to me feels like I like the mood of that song. I think really feels like that. I do say that the book kind of feels like a metalcore song. It is like dark and moody and evocative. Like that's what the book feels like to me is like living in those songs, which is what I listened to like 99% of the time when I was writing it. But I'll tell you that the theme song for Bloodstain book two is Even in Arcadia by Sleep Token.
oh
Yeah.
that feels like that can be painful. That can break some
Yeah.
hearts a little bit. Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
speaking of, Suzette had a great question. You
Yeah.
shared that you cried a lot when you were
Yes.
writing that, right? So,
Yes.
what
Mhm.
would you say is like the emotional damage scale for Godsbane?
That's I don't know how to put it on a scale. I'm also let me preface this by saying this. I'm a very emotional person. I am a Cancer. I'm a water sign. It is I feel things very deeply. Probably why I love Sleep Token so much. So I have never gotten over anything in my life. So I think that that's probably why I'm feeling it so much. And I think I'm so close to these characters and I'm writing such a pivotal moment in their journey. And it is really taking a lot out of me. I did not cry while I was writing Deathsbane, however, and I get messages from people all the time who are like, I'm sending you my therapy bill. And I'm like, I didn't even cry. So maybe I'm not a good judge.
I will, yeah, Deathbane, I will say, like, because it was so beautiful, it brings like, I get misty eyes. But I've cried over weird stuff
Yeah.
objectively to other people, so I'm perhaps not even a good judge
Yeah.
of that. But like, Deathbane was beautiful to the point it like
Mhm.
emotionally rocks you, and God's Bane is like the story's so good that you're like, where is this go? Like, you feel more like hype and
Mhm.
like energy of like, where are we going next? So I would, yeah, Deathbane, I would say of the two right now is probably the one that's gonna, it
Mhm.
might give you some tears.
Yeah, yeah. It will until we get Bloodsbane, but maybe both. I don't know.
Oh no. Yeah, well, this has been fantastic. Thank you so much
Yeah.
for spending time with all of us,
Mhm.
letting us understand your process with your special edition, and bringing this beautiful, brainchild of yours into the world so that we can all enjoy it and get to read it and cheer you on in this journey of being an author. And we look forward to book two. So anyone that has just joined towards the tail end here, we have, go ahead, Lindsay, tell them your titles and tell them your release date for book two.
Absolutely. So, book one in the series is called Godsbane. It is out now in print, on Kindle Unlimited, and also on duet narrated audio. It is narrated by the incredible Jackie Pryor and Anthony Palmini, and is available on all. And then after you read Godsbane, you can go pick up Deathsbane. That is the novella. It is technically a prequel story, but you do have to read it second. And
Yes.
that is from the perspective of two of the gods, and it is just really, it gives you a lot of the lore and backstory that enriches what you learn in Godsbane, but is really going to be important for you to know before you go into book two, which is called Bloodsbane, and that will be coming out in July of 2027.
Yay. Awesome. Thanks everyone for joining us. And Lindsay, we'll go ahead and save this down. And when we save it that way, like you can get one of these and we can get it out in the world for you to share with everyone. Okay.
Sounds great. Thanks so much for
Cool.
having me.
Bye. Thanks so much.